Come on, camel, let's go. Wave to the vlog. We're going to see the pyramids, you guys, and we're on a very sparkly camel. Welcome to Giza, the last remaining wonder of the ancient world, still left in nearly the original state. These iconic structures were built to stand the test of time. But what if I told you they were almost destroyed? And that's not even the craziest part you'll see today. Let me show you the secrets of Giza you never knew. If I told you the Great Pyramids of Giza are a family graveyard, would you believe me? Over our time here, we'll uncover mysteries about each of these dudes, but today we'll be learning about 4. First, we'll uncover Khufu, who built the first huge pyramid at Giza. His son Kahfre, who built the Sphinx and the second largest pyramid at Giza. And of course, Khafre's son, Menkaure, who built the third biggest pyramid at Giza. A day wouldn't be complete in Egypt without some Ramses lore, who was the most iconic Egyptian ruler, leaving us with millions of selfie statues all over the place. Let's explore the pyramids at Giza. Well, they are. First dad, and then son, and then grandpa. And of course, you can't forget about the wives. So we're gonna go see those. First, if we don't get hit by a car. Standing nearly 150 meters tall, the Great Pyramid held the title of the tallest man-made structure for over 4,000 years. Built in just 15 years with stones floated down the Nile. Stone is higher than me! It was an engineering marvel and mystery for centuries. In 980, treasure hunters broke in, carving their own path inside. But it wasn't until 1800 AD that the true entrance, hidden high above, was finally uncovered. It also weighs more. 3 tons, in fact, floating down the Nile River, being dumped out right there. Where you see people today, a river used to live about 10,000 years ago. But the river's drying up. So all of these stones here came from a place that's about a 10-hour drive down south called Luxor. Now we're gonna go see that later. So until then, enjoy the engineering. So now, we are gonna climb up the pyramids. How cool would it have been to build it? Now we know all the failed pyramids down over in Saqqara. They failed because they were testing them on how do we build this great structure? And here you can tell like this has been made for tourists who want to climb up the pyramids. But, so for whatever reason, people like to try to climb this Great Pyramid, and that's not allowed. You're allowed to walk on this area. So, whenever archaeologists were trying to discover what was inside, where's the body, where's the treasure, they made this hole. And this was the entrance they made to go in. Okay, we can't take photos. Well, that's not the real entrance. The real entrance is way up there. Now we have traffic jam. This is pretty awesome. We have a traffic guard guiding traffic. I hope you guys can hear that. If you pause too long in a certain section, you get that. What a legend. This is incredible. Look at it. Now each of these stones, over 3 tons. Like look at that. Floating down the Nile, down in Luxor, where they have limestone. Look at this. Tiny little horsey. Giant pyramid. So over here on this pyramid, we can see the top is still covered. And that's actually how all of the pyramids were. But then because of erosion and sandstorms, like the Sahara is an intense thing. The wind is an intense thing. To the right of this massive pyramid sits 3 smaller pyramids for the favorite wives of Khufu. While each pharaoh had many wives, lots of them their daughters, he just picked 3 to bury next to him in this iconic way. So while lore has it that there's only 3 pyramids in the Great Plateau of Giza, there's 9 because of the ladies. Next is the pyramid to Kahfre. Not only did Kahfre build the pyramid, but also a huge sphinx, an associated death temple that he was mummified in. Like the other pyramids, this one was attempted to be broken into as well, but the grave robber failed. So now there's just a nasty hole on it. Little horsey. Ride it, my horsey. So the pyramids weren't just like for someone to go be buried in. There was a whole activity center set up around it for a bunch of different things, for temples, for praying, for gods. And we're gonna go look at some of this stuff. Entering the temple of Kahfre was a surreal experience. You could tell some serious shit went down here. So we've entered this huge temple. Now what happened in this place? Like, look at it. The energy is quiet, the vibe is cool. And the floor, we have these things that are kind of carved out. In here, there were statues of the guy that was mummified in here. See, when you're being mummified, you gotta wait like 70 or 80, I forgot the number, of days for the whole process to set and take in. And that's what they did in here. They mummified his body in this temple with statues of the man, I think it was Khufu himself, who also built the Sphinx. So we're in the Sphinx temple area right now. But look at these bricks. Directly outside Khufu's temple sits the Great Sphinx. In Egyptian lore, the Sphinx was a symbol of protection, wisdom, and Ra. With the body of a lion and the face of the king, it was the ultimate flex. Snapchat filter of the day. Okay guys, we're standing right by the Sphinx. Now take a look at this. So the Sphinx is part of the pyramid up here. One of the cool things about the Sphinx is that he doesn't breathe. See? No nose, no nose. And there's so much legend and lore about like where did the nose go. Now one of the most famous stories is that in Napoleon Bonaparte's raids in his short man syndrome, he came in and he took the nose. Don't know why you would take the nose if, yeah. Are you still there? Yeah, we're still here. Okay, hi. So, well, there was this one guy in the desert and he wanted to prove to people that the Sphinx was not a god. So he decided to damage it. And for 6 months, he tried to commit damage to the Sphinx, similar to the guy who tried to take apart the pyramids. And the only thing that this guy could do was knock off the nose, which is pretty awesome. Check that out. We're gonna go see the butt of the Sphinx. The sphincter. Wow. You can see how deep it was buried and like how much archaeologists would have had to just dig to get in there. After Menekari finished the third and smallest pyramid on the Giza plateau, the workers had enough. Legend has it a revolt broke out and the era of pyramid building ended. Future kings were buried in hidden caves down in Luxor. But standing here today, it's impossible not to be in awe of what these ancient engineers achieved, with nothing but ingenuity and sheer determination. Is that your outside voice? Show me your teeth. Ah. Okay, we're now leaving Pyramid Complex. And you can see all of the vendors. It smells really good around here. That's one thing that I get that you don't. So now we are gonna go investigate what it takes to make papyrus. Papyrus was a heavily processed plant from the Nile used to ink stories, laws, and secrets of their civilization across millennia. While I usually avoid entering these tourist traps, this spot let me capture the process firsthand. So let's dive in and explore the making of this legendary medium.
My name is Abdul.
Not only was the papyrus plant useful, but also held Egyptian symbology.
Sun rays above the sun. Pyramid shape, symbol of long life and happiness.
Without treatment, the outside bark of the plant was strong enough to weave into boats, baskets, or shoes.
Play with me.
And before you ask, it smelled just like plant. I tested it. After removing the hard outer shell, the inside of the bark is sliced into small pieces and gets a hefty pounding to remove sugars and starch. And then of course, a nice little massage.
Flax with the sugar come out with
How cool. Then a soak in the water. The longer it soaks, the darker it gets.
Horizontal,
Right.
one vertical and one horizontal line still have the sugar. We can slice stick together like weaving. So we put it on.
After the weaving is complete, the papyrus gets a blanket covering and then sits in a heavy press for another week or so to extract the starches and sugars. And the end product is this dried up roll of paper that has lasted for millennia. All right, enough of this tourist trap. Let's get back to the real reason I'm here, to see ancient history up close. Time to dive back into the old stuff that makes Egypt legendary. Guys, that's a bit huge. So now we're exploring the first capital of the unified Egypt, called Memphis. And this massive statue of Mr. Ramses was discovered face first in a lake, as if he had been drinking too much the night before, in the year 1821. And that's why we have the museum here, because we built it around that dude. Dude, that's incredible. What? It's so big. So check this out. We know he was great because he has a crown, he has a snake, he has a fake beard, and he has his name all embroidered all over his body here. Now, whenever this was in the grand scheme of things, it was actually standing up. That would have been huge standing up. Down here, you can kind of see his little fists. Where am I? Right there. And over there, crumpled up. He's holding rolls of papyrus. Now, Ramses lived for like 90 years and had almost 100 kids or more than 100 kids. I don't know. The dude liked the ladies and having babies. But the fact that he was the ruler of Egypt for so long showed how strong and buff he was. Now check out some of the other stuff here that we have in Memphis. So long ago, Egypt was not a unified country. It was split up into the north and the south. The south they called Upper Egypt, the north they called Lower Egypt. Well, there was some unification done, and Memphis was the first capital after Egypt had been unified. So let's go explore a little bit more. Once the glittering capital of ancient Egypt, it's now a field of scattered stones and remnants. So why does it look like a giant game of rock dominoes? Over thousands of years, conquerors in time chipped away at the city, repurposing its grand temples and statues. But when we look closely, we're still able to find echoes of its former glory, like the massive statue of Ramses II and his feet reminding us of Memphis's epic past. Okay guys, let me show you something really cool. So, whenever the kings prayed, there was a bunch of different gods for them to pray to. Well, they had special places to stand on. Now check this out. They would stand here and just pray. Isn't that cool? And then let me show you this thing over here. So mummification, everything, like everyone knows about that. Well, this in front of us is a pink granite mummification stone. So here we have the god of Isis protecting the person, and like the person would just lay on here after they died. And for 70 days, they'd be wrapped up in soaps and in flowers and in ointments and in creams and all sorts of magical stuff, being protected by all of these gods on the outside of this rock. And then after the process was complete, they would walk, maybe not walk across the street, but we are walking across the street and being placed in the sarcophagus. And then your body would be placed in like a tomb or a pyramid based on how baller you were. Now, back to King Ramses. King Ramses really loved being an icon of himself and an influencer. In fact, he may have been one of the world's first social influencers ever. And he made a lot of statues about himself. In fact, he's the king, the pharaoh, that we know the most about. So in front of us, we see another statue of Mr. Ramses. And you see his feet are positioned in that position. Statues that had a forward stance indicated that the statue was built whenever the person was alive. Statues that had crossed arms and feet together indicated a statue that was built when the person died. And to think this was built like 7,000 years ago. They're still hanging out here. Like all of this, none of it's been retouched. Turns out that if you use natural elements in the rocks that they're supposed to be used in, limestone just becomes harder over time. Look at all these other little rocks. Ooh. We have another, ooh, look at this. They're so cool. How cool would it be to invent the first written language? Like, that's just badass. Okay, I think we should go over here and take a look at this stuff. One thing I want to highlight, like, about where we're at, it's so peaceful and quiet. Like, Cairo is a massive metropolis. I don't think it ever closes. But here, it's just calm, peaceful. You can imagine many years ago how chill the pharaohs must have been. Like, this must have been some awesome structure. Now just falling apart with some words of where it was at. Ooh, look at this. Look at that awesome architecture, just made from hand tools. You know, casual. Guys, check this out. I found someone who's just done standing. You have to stand if you're a statue like Ramses. But this one, nope. They're just chilling out. She got tired. Okay, guys, I lied to you. She's not tired. Because statues fall apart, it's called a one-piece statue. And so it's so she doesn't fall apart. It's actually good engineering and not someone who just wants to sit down and take a nap. Oopsie. But now it's time for me to have a little break, because next up I'm heading to Saqqara, home of the oldest pyramid in Egypt. So stay tuned for more epic ancient lore as we dive into our very first tomb exploration experience. You won't want to miss this. Keep exploring. Ciao. Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing's gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing's gonna be alright.